Fox News alert: the Southeast is picking up the pieces after Helene killed more than 230 people, making it the deadliest hurricane to hit our mainland since Katrina.
Right. The Biden-Harris administration sending 500 more active duty troops to hard-hit North Carolina, bringing the total to 1,500 as thousands are still waking up without power.
Lawrence is live in North Carolina with a first-hand look of the destruction. Lawrence, what has it been like over the course of the past day or so for you?
Hey, good morning, family. It's really hard to describe because it's something that you would typically look at in some movie or, you hear reports about it, but when you really get here on the ground, you see just devastation like none other. Right behind me, it used to be a car repair shop. And as you can see, there's one car right here, but you see other cars that are inside of the building that are just smashed together. And to the left of me used to be a mattress shop, and it's not even visible. At first, it took us going to Google Maps to figure out what the business is. The people here are struggling. There's questions about the response here so far. And, I always tell people, I'm not gonna disagree with administration when they say FEMA is here. The problem is the residents aren't seeing them right now, but just a big undertaking from the people coming together here, businesses coming together, Samaritan's Purse who is on the ground. So where the government hasn't been here, you've seen the community come together, guys.
It's always the case. It's often the case. It's all too often the case, Lawrence, these days when it comes to some crisis. You look to your neighbor. Sadly, we can't look to our leaders. And I know that you spoke to many of those neighbors, many of those people in North Carolina over the last couple of days. Here it is.
We never thought it would hit up here in these mountains like this. But when we walked down and seen that road gone and that bridge gone, it took my breath. I was like, what happened?
Lots of disaster in this area, a lot dead, a lot without power and water. We don't know when the water will be restored. I don't have either right now.
My son hiked 5 miles to get me. We went through all the devastation of there were no roads, there were no homes, there was nothing.
Just so much damage. It's been somewhat overwhelming. We feel like we're in a war zone.
And I've experienced guys coming up here from other cities packing up this free stuff that they are sending us, saying they're going to sell it. All donated goods for us. There's places that lost their homes. There's families that lost everything they had.
People have drove up and they've saw what we've got, and they've just covered their face in their hands, sobbing that they were able to find something to eat, something for their babies.
It's such an outreach from around the country. Folks from all states coming in, and they're just helping us and bringing supplies in, truckload after truckload.
So if anybody needs it, we're here. And we will, as long as we have supplies, we will be here for the long haul.
I think that our government can do more. Because we're going to need the help. There's roads gone. It's going to take a lot to rebuild us.
There's so much more that could be done, and giving us $750 if you can even apply for it is ridiculous. And I've only heard of a handful of people getting approved. $750 isn't going to do anything even if you do get approved. Not with the damage we're seeing, not with the hurting that people are going through right now.
Where is the help for Western North Carolina? We can send billions to Ukraine, and we can't help Western North Carolina. We have spent all of this money on all of these people crossing our borders that are open, and now we're telling the people of America, the U.S., that need the money, we can't give you no money. That's our money. We pay it in, we work, and we should receive some benefit from the government with our own money. It's just not right. The people of Western North Carolina that are hit hard should not be suffering like this.
I don't think she's doing enough, and I don't think Biden's doing enough either. I'm sorry, I don't. Because I heard on the radio myself, so it ain't hearsay, Biden said, what storm?
Everybody I talk to, it's pretty much a slap in the face. We're not getting the support from her, from the president, the sitting president. We're just kind of having to suffer through it and figure it out on our own.
I would say to Kamala Harris, this tragedy did not happen in a nice neighborhood downtown Asheville. Step out, get your rain boots on, get your mud boots on, your gloves on, and go out there and walk through what I hiked through for 2.5 miles to get back to Asheville, to get back to my family. You hike it. Then you tell me what it's like. You step it up. You're up your game.
President Trump will do a lot. He's gonna help us.
He's definitely showing up, and he's making it known that he knows what's going on and that he wants to help.
We don't want to hand out. We want to hand up. And that's what Trump's going to do for us. We got to get him back in there.
Some powerful words. Let's bring in Richard King. He's the owner of Pure and Proper. Richard, for our audience, that aren't here on the ground, they say it's been over a week and things must be going well. As someone that's from here, that is on the ground here, can you describe what it's like here right now?
It's hard to describe it. When I've tried to tell people who don't live here or haven't been in some of the areas that I've been in, you can't exaggerate the story enough for people to get a feeling of what it's like. It's impossible to explain to people over the phone. It's just like it's trying to explain a rock concert. Like some of that stuff, you just have to be there. You have to feel it, and you just can't exaggerate the story enough for people to take that in.
What are some of the things that you guys are dealing with right now? I know even this morning right now, there's still areas with no power. People still need water. Mm-hmm. Is that just the start of the issues here right now?
Yeah, there's no water. We live in Black Mountain, just 10 minutes up the road. Still no water in most of in probably 90% of that area. And even when we do get water, which they're saying in a few days, we're going to be under a boiler advisory for a long time. So it's not like you can just start brushing your teeth and drinking all that. Restaurants are struggling because they need to boil that water and cook that water. It creates a whole nother issue because you can't have an outbreak. You can't have, amongst all the problems that we're dealing with, you can't have someone getting sick over things like that. So we're in this. It's going to be a long road.
You're not a political guy. You just have been stepping up to help your fellow neighbors, providing food for folks. What's the response been like here on the ground? What are people telling you? Do they need more? What's the overall vibe here?
Honestly, I mean, what we're doing is we're pulling restaurants and culinary people together to create a place for them to cook. Because we got cooks and dishwashers and people that are sitting at home, and I'm like, no, let's get to work. Let's get after it. Let's serve other people. And the response from churches in the area, places like Valley Hope and Swan Oak Christian, Black Mountain Presbyterian, they've all been pulling together and it's incredible to see what they're doing. And, we're not waiting on help, we're creating the help. And so that's what we're doing, and it's beautiful. I understand the situation, but it's beautiful to see these people just get after it. I know people in this area, they're Appalachian people, they kind of the butt of a lot of jokes, but these are the people that you want in your corner when this kind of stuff goes down, because they are ready to get after it. They're ready. They got a chainsaw, they got a trackhoe, they got some sort of piece of equipment. They're ready to use it, and they're not waiting for someone to come and cut the tree down. They're cutting the tree down. They're helping their neighbor. And, it sounds cliche, but it really is just a grassroots community effort to get stuff done to get it better.
And we've been seeing it, brother. Thank you so much for giving me some time this morning. We're praying for you guys.
Thank you.
And guys, that's the story that we continue to hear on the ground is of not waiting. That they're going to step up to help their neighbors. They're not going to wait on the government to come to the rescue. And we've been seeing them out here in force, guys.
Yeah. These stories are so sad to hear. He owns a restaurant. How's his restaurant doing, Lawrence?
So his house was not destroyed. And so that's why he kind of just decided to pack up the stuff and keep people fed. And, he says he feels blessed, and him and his wife and their family feel so blessed. So they want to keep the first responders fed as well as the residents that need a bite to eat.
That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing, too. Different stories about people saying that, FEMA's there, but they're not getting a lot of the supplies. This woman, Chelsea Atkins, to the New York Post, said, FEMA called me, said they want to inspect my house. I said, all right. Says, I can't come in. The road's closed. I said, just drive around the sign. That's what I've been doing. He goes, I'm not allowed to do that. So when this whole thing started, they couldn't get to people and they just stood. They needed helicopters. So where are the helicopters? An hour away in Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty. They never called for a week. They could have been there last Monday. Instead, they got a call on Friday. So if you're not using the military, and if it's hard to get to these mountainous areas because you need helicopters, why would you not call the military? Is anyone not working in the Harris campaign? Is anyone left in the White House to say, wait a second, we could help FEMA with some resources?
If you're on social media, you can see all these videos of people posting saying FEMA is nowhere to be seen. We don't have the help we need. Someone wrote me from Charlotte, North Carolina. Her brother's a builder in the area, and he packed up his truck with another friend, and they went into the mountains of North Carolina to help out. And they said they never saw FEMA, but a local builder in the town that they went to was helping out and kind of organizing everything. They were going to Home Depot, getting supplies, taking it to families, trying to clear roads for families to be able to reach their loved ones.
Well, Deanna Criswell, who is the administrator of FEMA, says a lot of this criticism amounts to disinformation, and it's dangerous.
Let's talk about some of the misinformation that is out there, including these claims from former President Trump that FEMA is about $1 billion short because money has been going to undocumented immigrants. Also, that the areas of the Republican areas of the state are being intentionally ignored in some fashion.
You know, it's frankly ridiculous and just plain false. This kind of rhetoric is not helpful to people. You know, it's really a shame that we're putting politics ahead of helping people, and that's what we're here to do. We've had the complete support of the state. We've had the local officials helping to push back on this dangerous, truly dangerous narrative that is creating this fear of trying to reach out and help us or to register for help. It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there.
Guys, can I just set it up this way? I'm not going to say they aren't here. All right, I'll give her that. I'm not going to say that. But what I can say is the residents say they don't see them. I mean, what is worse? What is worse, for you to be on the ground and residents not see you, or you to be on the ground and actually not do any work at all for the people here on the ground? So, I mean, I understand their plea. I don't want any of these workers to be harmed in any way. But when you see Samaritan Purse and private organizations that are here on the ground, you wonder why FEMA is not right there with them. What if these private organizations weren't on the ground? And what I hear constantly from these organizations over and over again is that the government in many cases is making it harder for them to do their job. You think the people that we spoke to yesterday care about politics right now? They just lost their homes. They don't have running water. The last thing they care about is the next presidential election, guys.
And you know, Lawrence, I have some personal experience with this from a year ago, having been in a position like you are right now in Maui. And what you find is bureaucracy and incompetence are most often the enemy. I'm in a group right 100%. Now that is trying to coordinate efforts in North Carolina. And it's the evil of incompetence, not the evil of intentions. And neighbors are more competent and they're more responsive than a bunch of people flown in from out of state who are, you know, adhering to bureaucratic law. Now, I will say, though, if you want to find something that I do think is evil, and that is the evil of priorities, and that goes higher up the political food chain. Right. And many people are talking about, as you heard there, well, what about the money we give to Ukraine or we give to, you know, Kamala Harris is giving tweets out about money going to Lebanon. What about the money we give to resettling illegal immigrants? And what does that pull? Well, that's a source of debate as well. Does it pull from here? Does it pull from there? I thought Tom Cotton was really good yesterday on NBC explaining the nature of priorities. Listen to this.
My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
Right. And you could have reprogrammed that, Lawrence. You could have reprogrammed some of that money, or you could do it anyway. And it was Mayorkas that brought it up. Hey, I'm out of money. We got a hurricane. We're going to need more. And that was him indifferent on some Zoom call or some interview. Never shows up at the site either.
Yep.
You know, Brian, you're exactly right. And Ainsley, I'll put it to this way, and you know this as well. The American people, kind-hearted people. I mean, we're seeing them step up in the moment like this. And I think the reality of it is many of them support programs, support Ukraine to help other people. They want to support people that are struggling. But they have one request. When they finally do need some help, Ainsley, when tragedy does hit them, it may happen one time in their lifetime. They paid taxes for years, that their government is there to help them along the way. They're not asking the government to, pay their mortgages off or anything like that. That's not their request. But basic water, to get electricity, to rescue their family members, I'm not sure the missing numbers and the death toll number is accurate right now, because there's people still saying that it's more than that. So right. I think I'm at a loss right now, Ainsley.
People are still saying they're missing their loved ones. We heard on Fox and Friends First, the teacher, there's a school teacher that's missing. She was with her husband in their house. Their house was washed away, and he was holding her, and he wasn't able to hold her for very long, and she floated away, and they can't find her. So we are hearing this. Those numbers are probably going to go up. And people are good-hearted Americans. Yeah. They want to give money to other people to help. But when they're in dire straits and they've paid into the taxes, they want that money to come to them, too. They have lost their homes. They've lost their water. These are just basic necessities, and we do need to help them, and we need FEMA to step up.
And really quickly, if what we're talking about is a crisis of leadership, it's about to be compounded as we're seeing the biggest evacuation in Florida in a decade.
Yeah, they're going to get hit again.
Hurricane Milton bears down
again
on Florida.
Yeah, and we had the Speaker of the House on our curvy couch. Thank you so much, Lawrence. We're going to check back in with you throughout the show. Yep.